Kojo, time now to bring you what's happening on the newspaper. I'll just take a quick tour. We'll start with the Daily Guide this morning. And the biggest one in front of the Daily Guide this morning is Greater Accra embraces Brian Echampon. Greater Accra has embraced Brian Echampon. The story is on page 3 of the Daily Guide this morning. And Ahmed Suale killer freed. If you followed that story, the businessman Daniel Korengteng, who had been charged earlier in this particular case, had been freed upon the advice from the Attorney General, which is very common in criminal law. Usually, the prosecutor will then seek advice from the Attorney General whether or not to proceed or not. And upon the advice, he had been freed. If you want the details of that story, it is also on page 3.
I think, is that usually based on the evidence presented to the AG?
Of course, you have to provide everything in the docket. He seizes and then he advises on the way forward.
Okay.
It's not done in vacuum. Of course.
Okay. All right.
The story is on page 3 of the Daily Guide this morning, and 4 caged over food delivery scam. You recall there's a story about how they developed websites on delivery or delivery apps, which are all scam. You want to take a read as well on page 6 of the Daily Guide this morning. The insight: major defections hit Baumia's camp. And it says that Natoshi Ajwa Safo joins Ken as Top Guns and also mob Brian. And it says that these 3 people that you see in front of the insight, well, I didn't think that they had pledged their commitment or their support to Dr. Baumia.
Yeah.
But the story seems to suggest that they had shifted.
Because they were there in the 2023 primaries. Okay. I think that's where they are basing their story from,
Okay. Well, then that story as well is in the insight. You want to look at that as well. The Accra Times: Galamsey is a national crisis, but government will stop it. The Vice President has been giving some assurances, and eulogy to Apostle Dr. Safo Kantanka was unique, and the page is on page 2 of the Accra Times, and I'm certain this was when they visited the Speaker of Parliament. And you heard the comment he made about being sure that Ajwa Safo did
not vote for him.
Really? That's interesting, because I wouldn't. How would he know?
But Ajwa Safo also said that she didn't vote for him.
Okay, then. So it is. He's basing this on Ajwa Safo.
I'm not sure, but I'm sure. Well, maybe he has intel that we don't know. So.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, good news for junior doctors as Health Minister secures clearance. He's been giving assurances when he spoke to the media the last time. I will take you to the next paper. The Ghanaian publisher Baumia urges civility, and this is because he begins his constituency campaigning today.
Yeah. Yesterday.
Yesterday, actually. Okay. And well, you can see the vote number 3 is on there. You can read on page 3 of the Ghanaian Times. And
number 3 on page 3.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
Number 3 on page 3. Well, government deceiving nurses, minority as well have been addressing on the challenges of paying nurses. But the minister has been giving assurances. I'm not sure where the minority is coming from with this one, but the story is on page 3 if you're interested. Another story that has both of us our attention earlier before we came on was Tano North MC Aiden Galamsey, royal family, has been accusing, and the story has provided details of the company that the MC had granted permits or some sort of allowance to go and mine, and this is illegal. And Kojo was just saying that, hey, you know how much we came on. The news center, Momo runs on one of the world's most secure data system, and Momo chief has been speaking. I'm sure it's because of the challenges some people have been facing, fraud, scam, and all of that. This is to reassure you. And again, the news center is reporting that Baumia begins his 275 constituency tour today. Story is on page 7 this morning. And I will go to the custodian. No insults and personal attacks, and this is by Baumia as he starts nationwide campaign today. Again, stories on page 3, something about 3 on all of the newspapers for Baumia this morning. This story is as well on page 3.
So maybe they just want to rhyme with 3 and 3.
They want to?
Yeah. So Baumia is on position 3 on the front, on the page 3 of the paper. So yeah.
Okay. Well, so Bagman urges unity in Apostle Kojo Safo's family. I'm sure
very vital.
Yeah, you're followed, and this is very normal when a person passes. People express their emotions differently. Don't deal with this person, deal with this person. I think as a country or as citizens, we should give the families some privacy to deal with their loss and grieve properly. So this call is just in order. And finally, for me on the custodian, minority slums government for neglecting new nurses and midwives. You can grab a copy of a custodian this morning and then you can take a read. But of course, what is the headlines without going on to my JoyOnline.com? Let's take you now there. Ghana's oil output peaked in 2019. PIAC warns of sharp production decline. Yeah. That story is our top story this morning. It'll interest you. But when you're done as well, you can take a read. A US-Ghana deportee deal. International conventions must guide Ghana. It's a very good read. You want to read that. Professor P.J. Etua is the one that authored that.
But I love a story on there. Veep adopt survivor and baby of river Otibo tragedy. Donate relief items to families.
Yes, when she visited the region, that tragedy is not anything we should see again in this country as well. And we're glad that she did.
Yeah.
Yeah, you want to read that one as well on myjoyonline.com. So many stories. You have a lot to choose from to read on myjoyonline.com. Kujo?
Okay, thank you very much.
That'll be all for the head.
So MFA will take her seat now. I hope the cameras will capture her walking anyway. So
oh dear.
MFA can come now. When I hear the... Okay, so that's MFA Akosia Adeti. You see, MFA, you know why I do what I do? I
don't know why you do what you do.
I've always been telling you that in the mornings, everyone needs inspiration.
Okay, so they should drink green tea.
Green tea.
And read the Bible.
Oh, we've been reading the Bible always.
Yesterday you had a rosary.
Yes, exactly. Beautiful rosary.
Yes.
I've hanged it in my room.
Okay.
Yes.
And the Lord is with you.
Exactly, always, you know.
Well, let's get into the news review, Kojo. Dr. Asante has joined us. You want to introduce him for us?
You just moved me from my motivation, but that's fine. I wouldn't begrudge you. I'll leave it there. Dr. Kwame Asante is a political scientist. He lectures at the University of Ghana. Prof, grateful for joining us here. Good morning to you.
Good morning, Kojo, and then MFA, as well as our viewers, of course. I want to also say good morning to my brother and friend, Mr. Kobi Amwa.
Okay. How did the party go yesterday anyway?
Which party are you talking about?
Oh, you know the one I'm talking about. Okay.
The little girl. Oh, she had a good time. She was all over the place. And then we also help us to enjoy the day.
Okay, yes. All right then.
It's my hope and prayer that he follow instructions at home and then do what is expected of her. And we leave the rest with God.
Okay. All right. Kobi Amwa is lawyer and a member of the MPP and also a member of the Kennedy Japan team. Good morning to you, Kobi.
Good morning, Kojo, and good morning to you, Doc. Doc didn't invite us for the party, but we are here, and good morning to all your viewers this morning.
Okay. Let's start from the Daily Guide newspaper, right? On the front page, Greater Accra embraces Brian Achampon, one. Ahmed Suale into inverted marks, killer freed. So more of someone who was accused for that murder but has been freed upon the advice by the Attorney General. Also, Mahama secures zero tariff deal for Ghana for caged over food delivery scam. But maybe we start from the Ahmed Suale case, right? Because when the guy was picked up, charges were preferred against him. But like MFA explained earlier, based on the docket that was presented to the Attorney General, he advised that, well, let's free the young man. Dr. Asante, what do you make of this development?
Yeah, Kojo, before I come to this, I think you have to allow us our 2 minutes to be able to talk about some of the topical issues. Today, I want to bring my lens on defaulting doctors who have taken loan from the banks and have left this country without paying. I don't think it is a good example. We are in this country that we want to build the private sector so as to support our efforts to make ends meet. So the best you can do is to seek financial support from any of the financial institutions, and your corresponding duty is to pay for what you have taken. So I was surprised to hear that about 70% of those who took the loan are out of the country and have jumped out of the country without paying the loan. It is very, very unfortunate because that bracket of people, we hold them in high esteem, and we expect that they will do things right. Let me also add that it's not every doctor, no, but those who have defaulted, because we had information that Ghana Association of Bankers, they came out with this. It is unfortunate. When we do that, we destroy the banks, and at the end of the day, we destroy the economy. I think it is not a good example. So I am happy that the banks have taken the trouble with government through Foreign Affairs Ministry to be able to trace them and get them. Doctors, wherever you are, please settle your debt. It is important so that you become credit worthy, so that it also gives us, those of us who want to go to bank and seek for loan, the opportunity to be trusted, and then also the bank is prepared to do business with that. And I will extend the conversation to Momo users. Some of the people that you and I know in this country, they take little loans from the telecos and then they run away. Yeah. They abandon the chip and then they don't pay. That's unfortunate. We cannot build a strong economy with this type of attitude where we destroy the very institutions that put food on our table. Please, we need to wise up and do the right things.
Well, I always tell people that when you take those loans and don't pay, there's someone who's losing his capital, and it's also someone who's losing his or her job. So we need to think about that. Anyway, then we should also give Kobe Amo the same 2 minutes to share with us his reflections. Kobe, if you have any. If you don't, then we can move on to our substantive issues.
Okay, I think just something I'll comment on briefly is in relation to Ghana and whether or not we need more lawyers. Over the weekend, about almost 1,000 lawyers were called to the bar, and it sparked the debate whether Ghana is training so many lawyers, which we don't need, and whether we could have invested that time and resources in training engineers. I mean, I'm not going to look at it from the perspective of engineers, I'm going to look at it right from the perspective of lawyers, because we are in a country which has a very low lawyer to citizen ratio. Looking at Ghana throughout our existence, we've trained just about 11,000 lawyers. But even as of now, we just have a little over 8,000 in active practice. And even when we say active practice, these are people who have renewed their licenses. A lot of people who have renewed their licenses are using it to work in private sector, public sector, but not actually within the legal profession and its service delivery. I think my comment with that is that we should be slow in condemning the fact that we are training more lawyers, but actually look for avenues where lawyers are needed. If you look at even the rules guiding how district assembly should be formed, we need about 3 legal brains to be in each district assembly. If you look at the Attorney General's office, they don't have enough lawyers on payroll to be able to ensure that there is proper delivery of justice from that perspective. So, I mean, my quick take is that we need more lawyers. We should be able to ensure that our lawyers are well positioned to ensure that our justice delivery is faster, looking at the backlog of even cases that we have at the courts. If we had more lawyers, more courts, we could move forward with cases faster. Now, a lot of people are losing trust in our justice delivery system because you just go to court with one simple matter and it will take you 3 years, 4 years, 5 years to resolve. So that's my quick take.
All right, okay. Thank you very much. Dr. Asante, so let's go back to the Ahmed Suale case.
Yeah, I want to look at Ahmed Suale's case, but a little to add to what Kobe said. We need, if everybody will read law and at the end of the day come and help in the society, why not? Democracy believes in, any profession that you are doing, you do it well, and that the lawyers are very integral part of a democratic enterprise. at least if for nothing at all, the knowledge, the education, and then their role is very, very significant. So the state will continue to produce lawyers, but they will find their bearings wherever they go. I move quickly to Ahmed Suale. It is unfortunate that up to date, we have not found those who committed the offense of killing the young man. I also have to accept that previous government have made efforts to handle this problem, but except that the process has been slow. I will urge this government to quicken the efforts to make sure that we get to the bottom of this, because the families of this young man we lost are still in pain. Friends, sympathizers, family members, and all that. Well, and the state is in pain. So it is my hope and prayer that the president, through his manifesto, promised that he will find, you go into this matter and help us to secure justice. I want to urge the president to continue on that trajectory so that this issue can be resolved according to how it ought to be. And at the end of the day, will bring back justice to the family which has lost the individual. It is unfortunate that we are here, but I know we shall win the fight.
Okay. To you, Mr. Amwa, we understand that two of the people who are alleged to have really committed the murder, I mean, this young man was charged of abetting, right? But the two people who are alleged to have really committed the act themselves are on the run. Where does this leave the police if this guy has been discharged?
No, I think that investigations must continue. The fact that, especially in a case like this, which involves murder, which is of national interest, a lot of the times, those of us in the public are quick to put pressure on the police to conclude investigation facts, and rightly so, and put the perpetrators to book. However, in our quest to ensure that justice is delivered fast, we should, I think that, and just as the Attorney General has done, we should also be slow to put in innocent people, or better phrase, people or in instance where there's no sufficient evidence against someone, to put such a person on trial. Sometimes, especially when someone is innocent, putting someone on trial is not easy. It's something that can derail a lot of things for such a person. So especially, I followed a bit when this issue came up. The lawyer actually made a lot of comments about the kind of facts that were being discussed in courts, and the fact that I think there was a statement that he had been on the run for years, but they also said they even had evidence that this guy had been collaborating with the police on other investigative works. So if the Attorney General deems that indeed there's no evidence against such a person, I don't think that it is prudent for such a trial to continue. That will end up even being malicious. I'm not sure if we'll meet the standard for malicious prosecution, but that will end up being prosecution, which will even be a burden on the state press when you exactly know that you don't even have the necessary evidence to prosecute. So I think that investigations should continue. The agencies should be fast about it. They should dedicate a lot of resources to it, because this is an issue of high national interest. And every time it comes up, you could see how the public is looking for such a matter to end, especially involving journalists who serve this nation distinguishedly, and looking at the sensitivity of the kind of work that they do. We need such to also prevent or to also protect other journalists and give them that freedom to do their job. So investigation should continue, and hopefully the police will be able to find the two perpetrators who are on the run.
Well, I'll stay with you, especially because you're a lawyer. And if you read that story, it brings the attention to the fact that he said that the Attorney General actually advised. I recall when I read this doctrine by William Blackstone, who said that it's quite okay to actually have 10 guilty people walk free than one innocent person is is sent to jail, I should say, or prison. With this said, if you also believe in this theory, where do we draw the line where we all must have confidence in the Attorney General that, well, they have studied the docket, they have looked at every evidence, and then they are advising that the matter be dropped? And especially, it looks like all the powers that the Constitution gives to our Attorney Generals. Is there a point where we must draw the line? Do you think that we should continue with this practice? What's the outlook like, the optics of it in the seeking for justice?
So justice is about justice, not optics. The fact is that the optics may not look good. As I said, this is a highly sensitive matter, a matter of high national importance. But imagine you not being involved in anything, or you being innocent and being brought before a court, being tried and being jailed. You know what also that does to the families of such people involved, and derailing everything, every progress, someone's career, someone's future ahead. So yes, and as you may be aware, the criminal standard is very high. The criminal standard is beyond reasonable doubts, and there's a reason. So I don't think that we should compromise on it just because we want to look good, or just because we want the public to be happy. We should ensure that we have clear evidence against someone before we prosecute and before the court can also convict such a person. Because the fact that you don't have evidence, and the fact that you want the public, or you want things to look good in the public, you want to instill confidence alone, does not justify the incarceration of someone who is innocent.
Right. For Daniel Korengteng, he should just keep quiet and move on freely, or what? He can look back and wonder, my time has been wasted.
I mean, I think that that would be up to him. If he thinks that if he thinks that things didn't go well, if he thinks that he can prove elements of false imprisonment, malicious prosecution. I mean, depending on the facts of the case, I have not really studied to see whether such would be the case in this instance. But if he believes that his rights were infringed upon, the courts are there for redress, and I think that he should insist on it if indeed that standard is met and he's been advised by a lawyer to do so.
Okay, Dr. Sasanti, let's take a trip into the Bawumia and the Kenejapon camp. You have seen that when we just did the headlines, Kojo, we had mentioned some 3 top individuals that, of course, if you're discussing the NPP, you surely will talk about them as well. The newspaper suggested that they are switching camps from the Bawumia camp to the Kenejapon camp. It actually continues to say that this is to re-strategize and also look forward to the unity that the party has been seeking. Is this really the case from your point of view?
Yeah, before I come in, just a little on the Suale's case, that as all of us have said, it is important that we don't imprison a wrong person, because we have seen stories in America and all of that. And what democracy doesn't support is that people who are not guilty should not be made guilty. And that is the law. So whoever the Attorney General believes that he should not be part of the matter, let us listen to Attorney General. He's a lawyer, and he will serve the interests of the society. That's it.
Doc, please give me a minute. Just a minute. I'll come back to you. Let me just go to the lawyer quickly, just for some education. Lawyer, so if the Attorney General advises that a case be dropped, does this suggest that the person is innocent, the person is not guilty?
I mean, once the Attorney General advises it and the matter is withdrawn, depending on the stage that at which that was done, they may be at liberty to come back or not, depending on the stage at which it was done. And I mean, as of now, the Attorney General says they don't have enough evidence. I'm sure if later they have enough evidence, and depending on the stage, they may be able to come back.
Okay.
And also the process, whether it was a withdrawal or an early process, right? There are a bit of technicalities involved. However, depending on what exactly was done, they may be at liberty to come back if they have the right evidence.
Okay, all right. Thank you. Doc, I'll come back to you. This switch,
right?
Do you call it a switch? Do you call it indeed some unity that the party is seeking?
I'm not sure. As Koju rightly said, that Madam Adjoa Safo has moved to Bawumia camp and all that. She's been there talking very strongly for him. And for me, there's nothing wrong about that. The switching, moving from one camp to another and all that, they are part of the political process. Is good. It helps the process. But what we want to find or want to know is that the campaign will organize in a very decorous manner, devoid of insults and attacks. And it will be driven by issues that confront the party foremost, and issues that confront the nation at large. We want people who have what it takes to be able to identify our problems and be able to deal with them head on. So that is how the campaign and all the processes must gear towards. We need that because time and again, we tend to just support people without listening to them and without posing questions to them as to what is it that they can do for their society, and for that matter, their state. So I want to see that. But I will also reiterate the point that any negative statement that will be used against any of the contestants, and the contestant happen to be the winner of the elections of next year, I'm afraid is going to be the raw materials for political campaign against the party. So they must be careful about that. And I want to also urge the party to put its foot down, muster courage, so to speak, to be able to deal with those who cross the line and put the party into a very difficult situation. Though they have come out with an ad hoc committee to look at how they can control, the processes and all that in terms of intemperate language. I know it's a tall order and it's in fact a difficult one for them to achieve because they've not been able to define what constitutes a wrongdoing in terms of the campaign. And for that matter, they don't have sanction for those people who breach those rules. So they are progressing on a very difficult note. But hey, they are playing their game. They know how to play it. But the contestants must be very, very, very careful. And then their party supporters. Sometimes even the leaders themselves will not speak ill about their contestants. But those who follow them, those who are on social media, insult, attacks, and all that. I tell people that the insult does not have any place in political science. We don't teach insult. We teach ideas. Politics, it's a contest of ideas and your records and all that. So if you don't have any, I'm afraid you should stay out of politics. After all, Aristotle reminds us that politics must be handled by those who are intellectually fit. If you can exercise your brain and come out with a process or an idea that will make society better, forget it. You are in the wrong camp.
But I mean, when you talk about the way the campaign should go about, the party recently set up a committee, right? That is to support. Yeah. That is supposed to monitor how the campaigning, is done. Isn't that enough to try to streamline how people will not really indulge in too much of excesses?
It's a good proposal, but from where I sit, I can tell you without fear of contradiction that they will either not be able to do it, or even if they're going to be able to work satisfactorily, they are going to be hit by a lot of limitations. Because one, they've not been able to define what constitutes political wrong in this contest, and then the sanctions appropriate to those offenses. So on what basis are you going to judge people who have crossed any line? Is there any line that they've crossed? And if there is, what are the sanctions? So as to let people know the areas by which they can operate. We don't have that. So I'm sorry to say, they are going to look for a pin in an ocean, which is an impossible adventure.
Well, Doc, I've heard you a number of times ask for civility, just like Bawumia as well, saying that, there should be some level of civilness in this campaign. I hear you quite clear, and of course I support that for political campaigns, there should be some amount of civility. But does it look like we're asking for morality in politics? It's politics anyway. You want to take a trip back to the US. Trump is quite bold with his words, and yet he became president. And I'm asking this because you see this as a war front, and you will marshal every tool that will work in your favor. And I really wonder why, if you're on such war fronts, you'll be seeking for morality.
Yeah, we are not talking about morality per se, but morality is a function of politics. You cannot build any political society without moral underpinnings. Then what type of society is that? That said, all that we are also saying is that if we're looking at what we're talking about in this context, we are saying that you can campaign, you can bring out issues, you can criticize, but it's not about insult. Because look, you want to govern this state. Are you saying that you can only govern this state if you are able to insult and insult well? The answer is obviously no. But you can only govern this state when you have ideas, when you are able to identify our problems and you are able to help us to deal with that. So that should be the driving force behind any political campaign, because you can talk about any subject without insult. Otherwise, political science must have a chapter that look at insult and how it plays an important role in governance of society. And that cannot be found anywhere. And nobody will encourage that, because insult doesn't fix your road. Insult doesn't fix problems at the hospital. But ideas are the ones that drive the frontiers of democracy and make society a better place. So you can come out with even something you have chanced upon in terms of corruption allegation and all that, but support it with evidence. Because if you also cross the lines of attacks and all that, the law is clear as to whether you have opportunity to smear somebody, slander somebody, abuse somebody within the legal framework. There are also remedies for that individual to seek. So we are saying that those who are in this business should be guided. They should conduct their affairs using the rules of the game. After all, there is no democracy anywhere without law. An important component of democracy is rule of law, right, which says that there are two components of it: equality before the law and due process. Nobody is above any law in this country, and that whatever decision you take or action must reflect with the laws of the land. Any other exercise beyond this, it must be considered an exercise against the rules of the game, and sanctions are appropriate to be meted out to those individuals.
Okay. Kojo, we're lucky to have Kenneth Japon's team member here. Well, Kobe, thankfully you're here. This switch, this Top Guns that the Inside is reporting that they have made a switch. Are you excited about it? Of course you'll be excited, because politics really and elections is about numbers. But do you go to bed shivering that, well, maybe I can also wake up and somebody in my camp would also switch?
I mean, that's politics. You wake up and people are always moving. They're always moving pieces. I won't want to comment on whether or not these two have indeed moved to our team. I think that both of them are lawyers, both ladies. I don't know if it was I know I saw Joseph and Natosh. I think both of them are lawyers. They are people who can speak for themselves, and if indeed they've switched at the right opportunity, they'll make such a comment to that effect. However, as I said, I think that there are a lot of moving pieces. I mean, what I can confirm is that a lot of people are moving into support of Honorable Ken as of now. Some are quiet as of now by a matter of strategy. Others are coming out boldly, and even as it's on the tour, you see a lot more of these endorsements. I think that what this signifies is the fact that people are believing in his message. People are realizing that he represents the candidates who can win power for MPP in 2028, which is going to be a very difficult election. And yes, so basically that's it. People believe that Kennedy can win power for us. A lot of the big guns within the party who hitherto were, especially during the last election, due to the fact that there was a sort of establishment, and it's quite difficult going out openly against establishment. Now that establishment is broken, now people go back, especially the MPs, the others, they go back to their constituencies, they go to town, and people tell them that it's Kennedy that they believe can win power for them. And some of these people have started heeding to the cry of their constituents. They started listening to what the people on the ground are saying. And I mean, the political party is about winning power. So if indeed a party wants to win power, then it has to take its best foot forward to win power. All other things can be resolved, but the most important thing for NPP is to win power. Our anthem, we say, we shall win to save Ghana. If you don't win, how do we save Ghana? So that's what I believe. I think, as I said earlier,
as of this morning, your team, do you still, that's if you earlier believed, that the NPP machinery has been designed to favor Dr. Bawumia? This morning, as we speak, do you still feel that way?
I mean, there are issues that were of concern, all these issues that were of concern, we've spoken about, we are addressing in public. And I think that at the right time, we'll come out to speak. It's not, this is an idea party, and depending on strategy-wise, it's not all issues that we want to run to the public to disclose. We try to resolve them internally first. Then if, depending on what the situation is, if the public has to know, the public would know. But as of now, I think that there's an electoral process which we are following. Now we've done our balloting. At this time, one key thing that is going on is the validation of the albums. As you may know, we've added a few old executives to the albums. Yes, not everything is going as we wanted. But I mean, that's politics. Nothing goes as smooth as you may want. But we are going through the validation process. There are some concerns. These concerns we have raised. These concerns we are trying to resolve. And at the appropriate time, we are going to let the public know.
Okay. No, you have a question.
Well, so you have said that the party, the NPP's party slogan is "We shall win to save Ghana." What's really the message for?
It's part of our anthem that we shall win to save Ghana.
Right.
So our anthem, we actually switch our anthem. If you are in power, we say we have won to save Ghana. If you are in opposition, we say we shall win to save Ghana.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. So for the for Kennedy Japan, what's his message particularly?
Jobs. Kennedy wants to create jobs for Ghanaians. I finished the university in 2017 by virtue of the fact that sometimes I get opportunity to sit on TV, on radio. A lot of my colleagues sometimes believe that I may have the opportunity to help them. So a lot of these calls come to me, and you realize that there's a huge problem with unemployment in Ghana. There's a huge problem with people who finish school and they are not able to do anything meaningful, substantial. As a party NPP, we believe in private sector-led job creation. Honorable Kennedy has created thousands of jobs. He has been a private sector, even as much as he's been in parliament, he has been in the private sector job creation business for a very long time. He's created thousands of jobs. He understands the issues that affect the private sector, the issues or the hindrances or the barriers that people in the private sector face. And once given the opportunity, he will understand that policy, or he'll be able to get a good understanding of which policies will be able to help the private sector grow. So jobs. He talks about using the Asian miracle. Realize that in past, Asia had similar challenges of jobs and job creation, and their strategy was to help individuals, was to help corporations build and be able to create jobs. It's through this that companies like Hyundai, Samsung, and others who are now multinational, like global companies, came up. And such a model is what Honorable Kennedy wants to follow in developing Ghana. So jobs is the most important thing. I mean, and from our national security reports, from the evaluation of a lot of the issues that we face in Ghana, you track or you trace a lot of them, and it's jobs. We even talk about Galamsey. When we are evaluating our Galamsey issue, the most important problem, and I think that is one thing that sometimes governments think about when we talk about the political will. If we want to have a state of emergency or something, we look at the number of people who are going to be out of jobs, and sometimes the government is afraid that that is going to raise the unemployment rate. Okay. If there were excess of jobs, or if there were enough jobs to cater for all these people, such things would be easier.
Okay. All right.
It's kind of strange because in every campaign, you hear each political party say that, of course, we want to create jobs, I just really wonder why this is differentiated. But this is me thinking out loud. You don't hear me. Anyway. I hear Dr. Sasanti nodding his head. I see.
When I have opportunity, I'll respond to that.
Okay. Kojo, which one shall we move on to?
To the Ghanaian publisher.
Okay.
There's a story here that is exciting because we are beginning our Dear Mahama series today on Galamsey. And on the page 2, Tano North MC Aiden Galamsey, that according to the royal family there. Now, the Tetretim royal family of Dwyer Nkwanta in the Tano North municipality has accused the MC of unlawfully issuing mining permit to Galamsey operators, leading to widespread environmental destruction and growing tension in the area. Now, according to the a statement signed by Nana Asama Kofi Ofuriedu, the family alleged that the MC and some sub-chiefs had authorized illegal mining activities without approval from the Minerals Commission and the EPA. Now, the family says a company identified as Sacrob Limited was granted operating licenses by Tano North Municipal Assembly to undertake mining operations on stool lands, a move they described as, quote, unlawful and irresponsible, unquote. Now, we've always been saying that the chiefs are the ones who can help deal with Galamsey. Dr. Asante, I want to start from you. This is obviously a good note to start, not so?
Yeah, we have said it time and again that if you want to deal with Galamsey, the first port of call is stakeholder engagement. That is critical. And stakeholders, once you bring them to the table, obviously you cannot do without the chiefs and opinion leaders within the communities. You need them. I have listened with rapt attention about all the talk about Galamsey, and one thing stands clearly missing and is conspicuously missing in this is the issue of stakeholders. People are talking about state of emergency. People are talking about, oh, the water, there are chemicals, even though the color can change and all that. You bring all those stakeholders, then we arrive at a solution and the way to execute that. That includes what? Traditional rulers, who are the owners of the land. They have said time and again that people come there with letters having been given leases to come and work on without their knowledge. I will urge you to take a trip or read around what the Chilean experience, the Brazilian experience. If you want to mine, you go to the people, the local people. They will sit down with you, plan how the mining ought to be done, people you employ and all that. Of course, those in the localities will be part of the process. And then when you are done, you go to government to look for another, approval in terms of other documentation. But most of the work is done by the local people. Why are we shying away from this? Because these are things that have worked for other states. Why can't we emulate and use it?
Dr. Asante, right? So, during the NDC's era, they tout a certain, shall I say, policy or one of the interventions, they called it the community mining. Today, we also have the responsible cooperative mining, which kind of mimics the community mining as well. And so some of these things that you have just mentioned as well, we have seen in the previous era and the current era. One thing really people have said is the political will. Which one are you asking enforcement on, the political will or the community mining? Or there's a different way you think that these community minings can be done?
It's none of the above. It is about what? Engaging the stakeholders. Because if you engage the stakeholders, issue of what? Enforcement will be part of that process. Issue of what? Chemicalization, if I can use that expression, is also part of it. Issue
you mean
decomicalization.
Decomicalization.
Decomicalization, yeah. Decomicalization will be part of the process. Issue of what? Owners of the land and the contribution they can proffer and all that. So we have lost touch with that principle of what good governance, which says that in all problems, the best way out is what? Stakeholder. Engage them. And then we'll be there. Once you engage them, people will bring the issue you're talking about what the political will that political parties lack. It will also be in there, and they will show you how to go about it. So that forum, we need it, that the stakeholder will sit down, and then each of the participant will tell you the way forward. When we're able to do that, it will take care of what? Enforcement. It will take care of what? Decomicalization. It will take care of health issues and even how to save the ecosystem in general. So I think that there are models that we can learn from. The Chilean example, the Brazilian example, the Peru example, and the Latin American example, for that matter, is what we need to be able to deal with it. Otherwise, we'll just pay lip service to the problem and we'll continue to come back and say, we need state of emergency. Those who argue that way, I listen to them. But I ask myself, would that be the only panacea to this problem? State of emergency, and so what? What next? What about the chemicals in the water? Yes, the people are off. Now, the water has begun to have what? Change color, and we are seeing clean water. Is it potable? Is it fit for drinking? The chemists as stakeholders should come in.
But Doc, the proponent of a state of emergency, which of course started when this government was in opposition, was the fact that if you declare a state of emergency, there are no mining, and then you can go ahead and implement the interventions that would save the river bodies. So
implementation from where? It is when
it's part of the strategy.
Yeah, it is when you know from each of the stakeholders what is supposed to be done. Then you can go to the field boldly and implement. Today you are going to implement what? Stakeholder emergency. This is my first time of speaking about it. I'm not against it, neither am I for it. But I am for solution that works, right? You declare what is the next step, the next thing to do. Now you are coming to now talk to chemists as to how you deal with the pollutants in the water. Now you are going to talk to soil scientists, how to reclaim the soil, get them before you move to the field. That is the way to go. You also, Kosia talked about something which is very interesting about political parties always promising us that given the nod, they'll be able to do ABC. And when they come to power, they don't have even the courage to do what we're saying. The part of the reason is you and I. We have not put them together and demand what we need to know about their policies. Because some of them, it is just empty talk. They only come to government and the real issues confront them and they tell you that we didn't know. But we cannot be a society listening to those comments that we did not know. In politics, you know, and then you plan towards it. So I will urge for this MPP, contest, it will be proper if the party will look at this and organize debate so that you journalists will interrogate their issues and know what each policy, how they want to go about it, how to even fund it and all that.
Ahead of their presidential primaries?
Yes, let us see them in debate. The debate elicits a type of response that we want. Yeah, Ken's is saying that he wants to create jobs. Beautiful idea. I have no doubts in my mind he knows how to create jobs. But we want education on that. How many jobs? And how is he going to do it? All right. He brings fantastic ideas. That was the previous election. They said he will look at all the beaches and then put some ferry there and then people for recreational purposes. These are beautiful ideas. How are we going to fund that? Where is the money going to come from? And all that. These are the fine mathematics that we need in every policy that they come out with. But some of them, they will come and tell us that, yes, we'll do ABC. When they come back and said, looking at it, we have to look at it differently. You've seen NDC, caught in this web, where they were in opposition and said, declare state of emergency, declare today. The same apostles of state of emergency, they are telling you that, we need to, exhaust all the rules and then see if they do not work, then we'll move to another gear. So on what basis were they talking? You realize that it was not founded on research and all that. If we are able to put them in debate, all these things can be interrogated to the fine details and will get the best for society.
But must that not be after they've elected their flag bearer? And we know that this person is going to contest, say, the flag bearer of the NDC, the CPP, and that's where you can really get the sort of workable ideas that you would get, because you know that any of them can become the leader of this country.
So are you saying that now, because they have not elected them, we should sit down for them to throw anything at us?
No, that's not what I'm saying. I'm saying that if you really want to get to the bottom of the fight of this Galamsey, and I've seen Galamsey and what it can do, I'm saying that it just goes beyond putting people who are fighting to be flag bearer of a political party and wanting to hear what they will do when it comes to Galamsey. The best way, I think, should be when they've elected their flag bearer to go against other flag bearers, not so.
A million-mile journey begins with a step. This is the process. One of them will emerge as a flag bearer. So that conclusion is already out there. We want to know now, that, look, these are our problems, not necessarily Galamsey, but other problems. Because yes, this type of campaign, you are doing a double-pronged type of campaign. That one relates to the party, and then one relates to what the state, right? So we want to test them on both fronts and see that through public debate, that this person that was going around that people are praising, are yearning for, he doesn't have what it takes. Let us subject them to this strict proof, and you see who will be able to lead the party and all that. I urge the party to bring this thing. And it's interesting when people are in contest and they are debating about the issues and all that. That one would take away their problem of insult and attacks, and other ideas will reign, but not insult. So I will urge the party. It's a humble proposal. The party can take it or leave it.
Kobe, it will be a good time to allow you to respond to the jobs matter. And here's why I asked that question. Well, you of course, it's experimented that there's potent results that Kennedy has created jobs. And I'm very reminded of the Trump story, from a businessman to president. That is one out of the many people who have become presidents in the history of this world that I know. But I'm also reminded of Jeff Bezos, Elon Musk. Why won't he stay a private person and then create jobs? I ask again because when you become president, yes, you have the final decision, but it becomes more bureaucratic than if you're a private person creating jobs, starting your own business. And so why wouldn't he just stay businessman, create more jobs?
Okay, so thank you. And as you initially mentioned, that one of the biggest challenges, one of the issues that keep recurring is job creation. Everybody says they want to create jobs. Now, it keeps recurring because it's still an issue that is still very frontal because people don't have jobs, and everybody will have to come up with how they want to create jobs. So if there's a businessman who has created about 8,000 jobs, who believes that the way to go, and especially matching what the party's ideology is, even what international organizations tell us, that the way to go is helping other people to be like him, so also to be able to create jobs, to have that multiplier effect, to take over or to clear that unemployment backlog. I think that it's a good thing. As to him staying in government, staying in private business or not, he is one individual. He wants to create 50 Kennedy Japons. He wants to create 1,000 Kennedy Japons. He on his own may not be able to create as many jobs too. If he is not president, what is the policy that is going to support him? His vision is not to be president and create jobs on his own, but his vision is to create president, create that conducive environment, put in place the right policies that will help others to be able to create jobs. So if he decides to stay in private practice and no one is able to take up the vision like he wants to take up, then that's proper environment that will help him to create the jobs may not even be there. Yes, now, even through the challenges that he faces, he just has about 8,000. Maybe if he had the right support, he would have created 30,000. So if he decides to stay on his own, maybe that right support may never come. I'll give an example. Kennedy has a steel factory at Tema, worth over 100 million, lying idle. That steel factory, one staff operation, can employ 1,100 people. Why? The steel factory is not working because of electricity supply. Governments, as of now, and through what we realize, does not have even a proper policy to support such large-scale industries who have such high demand for electricity. With the right policies, with the right arrangements, if those arrangements had been put in place, this factory would have already been in operation. God knows when, because this factory has been ready for about a year now and is still not creating jobs. God knows when government will be able to put in place the right structures to support such an industry. So
that's interesting, Kobe, because there are many businessmen here who would have loved that government to do something that will aid their businesses. So you're saying that it's not Kennedy just trying to climb to the highest hierarchy of the Maslow's theory, self-actualization? Are you sure you're certain that is not it?
No, exactly what I'm trying to tell you is the ability to get a bigger opportunity to create jobs. He has done it as a private man. And as I said, his vision is about helping other private people to also create jobs. As to whether there's the self-actualization bit, I mean, that one, every individual has what motivates him. If his self-actualization is to ensure that unemployment is cleared in the country, I think that we both benefit.
Well, could you?
I would like to comment briefly on the stakeholder issue.
Of course.
In relation to the chief. Yes. I think that is commendable that the traditional authorities have started reporting. I really agree with Doc that we should be able to engage stakeholders. Sometimes you may put in place all the technical people, be at a certain perspective, and think that you know it all. There's one common example that I teach my students when I'm talking about stakeholders. There was this company which wanted to donate a borehole to a village. They went in with all the technical people, dug the borehole which nobody used because this borehole was on an ancient graveyard. They didn't consult the people because they thought all the matrices were right. And nobody from such a village with a lot of superstition will drink water from an ancient graveyard. So without the proper stakeholder consultation, you may think you are doing everything right, but you're losing on a lot. In these villages, these chiefs are the ones who are on the ground. They know the lands. They know where people are. People go to these chiefs. Sometimes they go and present fictitious documents, which looks like a lease. If there is no proper engagement with them.
All right. We just lost him. Oh, Kojo, I think. But as
I can't.
Oh. Okay. Well, we're actually wrapping up the segment, though.
Okay. Yeah. So just as I'm saying, even if there's no proper engagements, the chief may not even know the difference between what a mining lease is or even the categories. Someone presents any document to them and they start working. By the time NIMOS comes in, the damage will have been done. So that proper engagement with the stakeholders is very important. And without that, we may not be able to achieve what we want to achieve.
Right. Thank you so much, Kobe Amwa. He's lawyer and member of Kennedy Japon's communications team. Dr. Asante, thank you so much. I don't know if I have 30 seconds, and then if you can promise me you can do 30 seconds, then I'd have you take the final say. This is how we'll end our breakfast on the news review. Doc.
Yes. We have seen it throughout the MPP campaign that now they want to, get things right. It is my hope and prayer that what they've promised, they will be able to do. More often than not, they are not able to muster courage and deal with people who breach any of their rules. Once they lose sight of that, I'm afraid, when the campaign gets heated, things that will come out, they will not be able to control. But I know, as one of the strong political parties in this country, for that matter, a dominant political party, one of the dominant political parties, they should be able to have what it takes to be able to ensure that the campaign that they've set in motion will get to its logical conclusion without an incident.
Right. Thank you so much.
Since we are talking about MPP discipline, maybe some 20 seconds.
Okay. If you can promise you stay with it 20 seconds, please shoot.
Okay, let's make it 30. Yes. So I think that Kennedy, just in relation to discipline and Kennedy's rep being here, I think that Kennedy has been very strict with his camp in relation to ensuring that there is discipline within the camp. And he has warned the members of his camp and always try to crack their whip. And there's not just talk. Sometimes people come and say we want unity, but there are people who go around and do otherwise. But Kennedy has shown. There was a time where someone even on his private network, it's openly insulted Dr. Baumia, and this person was given the sack because Kennedy does not believe in the politics of insult. He believes that politics is a contest of ideas, and we should be able to debate our ideas out to the people, and the people make a decision based on that. As to whether or not Kennedy will debate, I think that it's something that we may be open to, even though the disclaimer here is that we have not yet discussed with the team, but we will not miss any opportunity to talk about our issues, what we want to do for the MPP people, and what we want to do for the people of Ghana.
Right. Thank you so much, Kobe Amwa, lawyer and member of Kennedy Japon's communications team. You're watching the AM show. Kojo, yeah, this is how we wrap up the news review. And remember that love letter that we have for the president. Of course, today, the postmaster, we shall deliver the first part of that love letter, dear Mahama. But stay with us. We'll be back with that shortly.